Yay, let's
Hello.
do this. All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome.
Hello.
Hey, this is Sush,
I am Ashley.
and We Should That.
Yay.
Welcome to our podcast, We Should Pod That, episode 1.
We should watch that with Ashley and Sushi. Feel the vibes, it's a night so lush.
I'm so excited.
Me too.
We've been talking about doing this for a long time. We started doing some YouTube videos, and we thought, we're watching so much that it would be fun to have a way to talk through all of it. And we wanted to sort of go through what we've been watching on TV, movies, and of course the wrestling. So we're really excited that you're here and listening.
Yeah, I think, like Ashley was saying, mostly we wanted to do this because, we started our YouTube channel last year, and we got a couple good videos out. Had some good response to them. Had a great time making them, but I think this year we wanted to kind of focus on the timing a little bit more. So we thought this would be helpful in getting us the turnaround. We still plan on doing the videos, but I think the way we've been talking about doing them is more in line with like trying to highlight like certain movies that either we want to talk about either because they were great or otherwise.
Right.
So yeah, that should be fun. Also, like, we didn't really do any videos out of the few that we've done so far about like TV, and we do watch like a decent amount of TV. I'd say we definitely watch less TV than we watch movies, but as far as like sci-fi or action series or like some other, some reality docu-series or like popular genre stuff, we'll catch that too. So, we figured we'd want to give ourselves a platform to talk about it, since I don't think we ever really talked about, how we wanted to do that, like in video form, or if we wanted to do that in video form. So yeah, that's pretty much an overview of like what to expect coming up. I know that this week is a little more lean because the movies that we've been looking forward to just happen to like not be out the past few weeks.
The big summer blockbusters don't come out for a little while.
Yeah,
maybe like another month or so.
But we did find some movies that we were interested in, so we'll definitely talk about them today. So let me just go over the segments real quick. So the first set of segments, called Looks, the segment focus is going to deal with like our feature for the week, and then we'll have like a look back and look forward, or what is it? Look ahead segments for, just a shorter recap of like a couple other movies we've seen, over the past week or so, and then the ones coming up within the next week or so that we're looking forward to. And then our wrestling news and drama segment, which I've named "Oh No, Oh Yeah." That'll follow that.
Yay.
But that's pretty much how we're going to break it out. Feel free to give us any feedback.
Yeah.
As far as like what you guys are interested in, I'm sure we'll just kind of shape this as we go along if we need to, and tweak it a little bit. But for now, that's kind of the format that we're going to go with.
Yeah.
So with that said, let's get started with looks. All right. Ashley, what's our focus, our feature for this week?
So our feature for this week is going to be How to Train Your Dragon 2025 live action, not animated. So the synopsis for this one, I mean, I'm sure you all know it, but on a rugged Isle of Berk, a Viking boy named Hiccup defies centuries of tradition by befriending a dragon named Toothless. However, when an ancient threat emerges that endangers both species, Hiccup's friendship with Toothless becomes the key to forging a new future. Together, they must navigate the delicate path forward towards peace. soaring beyond the boundaries of their worlds and redefining what it means to be a hero and a leader. That's a really good synopsis, I have to say. Yeah. And this was my first time seeing a How to Train Your Dragons movie. So I haven't seen the animated movies at all. I know very little about them. So this was, I have heard that this one is very much like the animated.
It is.
Did watch it after. But going into it for me, having not seen it, I just am hearing and seeing the story for the first time. And man, it's a great story.
Yeah, I did see the animated one years ago. I think maybe within the year or two that it came out. The first How to Train Your Dragon. So I don't remember too much about it as far as who was actually in that movie, who did the voice acting, but I did remember the general story. So it was cool to see it in live action. I think it translated really well because they got Toothless down pretty well.
Man,
the design of Toothless, the CG design of Toothless was great, and the actor that they cast for Hiccup looks a lot like the cartoon character. And I don't know if it was just the hair or what. Maybe the hair is a big part of it, but I think the general facial features were kind of close too. But yeah, I think it was cool. What I thought was kind of interesting, and we were talking about this after the movie, because we're big Gerard Butler fans, is that I feel like he almost put in more effort into this character and franchise than he has for others. Because I was thinking about this, and I'm like, I've seen him in stuff like the Has Fallen movies and Den of Thieves, and I'm not saying that he's bad in either of those franchises, but he really has some depth in this. I think those other characters are very cookie cutter, they're very movie trope kind of action movie characters, the Has Fallen one is just Secret Service guy, whatever,
down on his luck,
and then Den of Thieves is kind of the same thing, but on the dirty cop side, and it's so he's fine doing that type of stuff, but I think it's really interesting that he's played this role of this Viking dad really well.
I know, it kind of reminded me that he's a good actor.
Yeah,
because
is.
I'm not saying I think he's bad in those other movies. We've seen so many of them. The old Jerry Butts classics. Plane. If you haven't seen Plane,
I love Plane.
You gotta see Plane. But nonetheless, he has a real range. I think it was awesome to see him play a father too. I think that there's this thing with actors who are popular in rom-coms who are more romantic leads, where sometimes I think they can be reluctant to become father figures. But he really did great, I thought. In a moving performance, had a lot of range. It was awesome. It was awesome to see.
Yeah, I think it's kind of funny because I think in research, kind of doing, the research just for some references in the course of doing stuff for the podcast, I came across a discussion on Reddit about what happened to somebody was what the heck happened to Gerard Butler's career, and I'm thinking to myself I mean, it just seems like he's got work to do, it's not necessarily, I don't think he's one of those actors that's hung up on winning awards. So I think that's just his thing. It's if he feels the role calls for something a little deeper or some more effort, I think for this, I think it's a little bit, I feel like it's easy for him to do the tough guy roles or the dirty cop roles, and it's so he doesn't really, I don't know, I guess I don't feel like he really shines as much in that stuff because it almost seems like it's more natural, but him in this Viking dad role, I don't know, it's wild. I watched we watched the How to Train Your Dragon animated movie, I think the following day. yeah, and I didn't realize like that even in that, like I feel like you could kind of tell that he put a lot into it. So like
really
I want to kind of joke about it, but at the same time, it's like it's legit. Like he really did like he put a lot into it, and you know, kids are going to appreciate it. I think because it makes me feel more real. So hats off to Gerard Butler.
I wish I could
that,
remember
man.
what there was a kid in our audience who I think when the movie ended, he went like, yeah, or something like that. So, you know, it's resonating with them. And, you know, I really understand the criticism of having the live action version of a really beloved animated movie.
Yeah.
Because, like, when I see what Disney's doing, I just think it's kind of gross. I think it's a cash grab. And you know what? This one probably is too. Yeah,
it just didn't feel like it, though.
It didn't feel like it because the performances were really good. And I get why, if you love the original, it just could seem redundant.
Yeah.
But if you're going into it, you haven't seen one before. For me, not having seen the previous one,
yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was wonderful.
I had a good gap since seeing the last one, I think. So I feel like there is like a subsection of people who their natural reaction when these live action movies get made is to just immediately react to it. Like, it's not going to be anywhere near as good as like the original. Well, it's like, yeah, whatever. Like, I just don't think that was the case with this one. I feel like it was on par with it.
It was good quality. It absolutely was. And I liked that they did like the quote unquote colorblind casting for it. Yeah. And they had a good reason for it within the plot, that the idea was that people from different tribes around the world came together to live in this small area because they're the best dragon fighters. But I liked seeing that. The one complaint I have is, and this is in both movies now that I've seen both, I don't like the way they talk about weight sometimes. Now the first one came out a long time ago, so it was a little bit different. Yeah. But it really made me sad to see the actor who's from Hunt for the Wilder People. Deadpool. His character, he's such an incredibly charismatic and charming actor. And it made me really sad to see his character reduced to just being like the fat guy. You know, like even his costume was to make him look bigger. I didn't like that. And I didn't like, even though it's a throwaway, it's just something I don't like seeing, especially in kids' things. Kids don't need another reason to focus on someone being different or someone being fat. You know, there's another joke where they're like, oh, I think we could use less food for some of these people. The camera turns to a bunch of like larger Vikings. But that is my one minimal complaint. But I was so invested. I was really like riveted. It makes me want to go back. I'm going to watch the rest of them too and just look more into the creators of this, because the story is and the plot and everything is so great. Now you're probably, if you've seen the first one, you're probably like, all right, Ashley, we know this. We saw the original 15 years ago or whatever, but it really holds up. I thought it was great. I really did. And this one that we went to, we got free tickets to see it through Comcast. So I don't know if it would have been our top priority if we hadn't seen that. Granted, we do see like most movies, but it was a really pleasant surprise for me. And, you know, always happy to see Jerry Butts. Yeah. And okay, here's my one other thing. God, I loved seeing all the different kinds of braids. I want to go back and find out how they did it. I was particularly fascinated by Nick Frost. He had this crazy, like, chain-looking braid. But so, like, the visuals looked great. Acting was great. Yeah, I mean, if you're open to it, I think you'll like it.
Cool. What would you give this on our rating system?
So, yeah, in our rating system, I would say for how much I enjoyed the movie, like a 4, like easily. Quality, 4. I mean, out of 5. I think it was really excellent.
Yeah, I agree. I'd probably give it the same rating, a 4 for quality and a 4 for enjoyment. I really like the original,
Mm-hmm.
and I just think that they did a great job with this and translated really well. It's cool that they got Gerard Butler to do it in live action, which I think like says a lot. I mean, that guy has a lot on his plate. He could have easily phoned it in. But,
he's great at phoning it in.
Yeah, but he's good.
Well.
I think he was good on that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that's what I would go with for that.
Awesome.
Let's move on to look back now.
All right.
To cover what we saw as far as movies go. Ashley, what else did we see this
week? So the next movie we saw was 40 Acres. So this movie is surviving on an isolated farm after a series of plagues and wars. A former soldier and her family make one last stand against a vicious militia that wants to take their land. And my first impression of it was just excellent acting, really great story with sort of a well-trodden territory. We've seen some other movies this year about sort of post-apocalyptic families surviving. But I think what really stands out is the acting. And just it was good at the pacing, sort of ratcheting up the tension. And I really love Danielle Deadwyler in the lead. She has such an amazing role, just holding this family together. She's clearly a very caring and loving mother, but she also knows she has to be really hard on these kids because the stakes are high.
Yeah, I thought the acting throughout the whole cast was pretty solid as far as like believability went.
Mm-hmm.
This is like a very family-centric movie because it's like, you know, one of those movies, like we were saying before, that takes place in kind of like a rural area where it's kind of like a family is isolated and they kind of have to fend for themselves for whatever reason, or like they have to fight something or like protect each other from something. In this case, it happens to be, a post-apocalyptic thing where I guess people are running out of resources. So, they're slowly trying to like take over areas. So, that's basically like the type of movie this is. I'd say it's more on like the sci-fi side. And even though it's kind of similar to movies like Never Let Go and Woman in the Yard, where like the scenario is kind of the same and they kind of like take place in, like I said, in like a remote area.
Yeah.
I definitely think it leans more towards like sci-fi. The other ones are more like towards like survival or psychological horror. So if you're more into like drama or like thriller type movies and maybe less leaning towards like the horror side, I think this is a good pick.
Also, I think really great about family dynamics because there's 3 children in this household, and a lot of it is about the oldest, who's like a teenage boy. And it really covers that sort of thing that's familiar in all families where kids reach a certain age and they're their own person. They need to go out into the world, and parents want to protect them, make sure they're going to be okay. Obviously, when the stakes are high, it's much higher, but still goes over how families deal with this change that happens as kids reach adolescence. So I really enjoyed it. And I really look forward to seeing a lot of the actors and things in the future. I thought the kids were great.
Oh. What else did we see this week?
Oh, the OceanGate disaster on Netflix.
Oh, Titan.
Yes, Titan. So this one was, here's the thing. If you followed the whole OceanGate disaster like I did, you know that this guy who owned the company was nuts.
Yeah.
Completely nuts. But this documentary breaks it down into detail and just shows you just how many ways he egregiously did the wrong thing. How he really thought he was invincible. He did not care about his workers. He only cared about appearances. it was. I knew it was going to be bad, but I still was shocked by some of the things this idiot did.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of. For me, it was really interesting because I didn't really watch a lot of coverage of like OceanGate. I kind of ancillarily knew what was going on because you were, looking into it a lot. But I thought this was kind of along the line. I mean, here's my thing with like these Netflix documentaries or docuseries. Like, I know that they're made in such a way to like make them more entertaining. So, I always take them with a grain of salt. But so I don't know if like these people that they interviewed really like felt this way, and expressed it previously. I mean, like, I'm basing this because I didn't follow it completely on what was in this documentary. But yeah, it definitely feels like this guy didn't know what he was doing. I mean, like, I think that was kind of the takeaway that most people had when this incident happened, was that this guy just wasn't prepared. I mean, like, there's a lot of jokes about like stuff like the guy using like a PC game controller to like control the submersible. And it's like, for me, it's not even stuff like that. I think stuff like that's ridiculous. And I think people make fun of that stuff, but it's like, this guy clearly was like, or at least like based on this documentary was just had a huge ego and just refused to believe that like he could be wrong about something. and it's, I don't know, for me, I think I was just more taken back by the fact that like you have like good examples of like, I don't know, like I'm interested in like deep sea stuff. So I've seen some of these documentaries that James Cameron's done, and man, the degree of preparation that man goes through just I mean, he goes Challenger. He went to like Challenger Deep, but which is like way deeper, but even just the preparation of it. Cause like we watched it after we watched Titan. Like, I think like the following day we watched James Cameron's Deep Sea Challenge in 3D, and like he was, like you see, he's like experiencing some problems. He didn't even get to a depth of like 3,000 feet or whatever. And he was just stopped it, and like you just go back to the drawing board, and like just seeing that, like the contrast, like from one day to the next, like between like how these two guys like handle these different like similar situations, is just like, it goes to show you like how screwed everybody kind of was on the OceanGate thing.
It's just disgusting how he had no value for human life. Like, it's just insane. So yeah, I would definitely recommend people check this out, and probably do like what we did, follow it up by watching the James Cameron Deep Sea Challenge. Yeah,
especially if your interest is more on like the side of just, being curious about like deep sea exploration. I think James Cameron has at least like one or two documentaries on that stuff. That's really cool. So definitely check those out. I think they're on Max, but anyway. And then the last movie that we saw this past week, I love this one.
Yes.
Elio.
Oh my gosh. So Elio, an underdog with an active imagination, finds himself inadvertently beamed up to the Communiverse, an interplanetary organization with representatives from galaxies far and wide. Mistakenly identified as Earth's ambassador to the rest of the universe, he starts to form new bonds with eccentric aliens while discovering who he truly is meant to be.
I love this movie so much.
It was wonderful, guys. Just see it. You got to see it.
I have been kind of critical. Well, I wouldn't say kind of critical. I think I'm on the same page as like a lot of people lately with Pixar stuff. I don't know if I've enjoyed the more recent stuff, but man, Elio definitely was like a good return to like what I feel like Pixar is good at doing, which is like presenting a great concept that is interesting to not only kids but adults, and then kind of like infusing it with heart. And yeah, I think this one was cool because I don't know if we've really seen a lot of space type Pixar movies. I think it's
I don't know.
yeah, I think it's cool when there's like kid movies about that stuff. There's definitely a lot of like Hollywood movies about space.
Yeah.
Because it looks cool and like,
so cool.
But I think it's also like, I do appreciate the cuteness of kids' movies, like with space, because it's a totally different vibe. And yeah, I just love this movie. I was looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And even like in finding out that there was actually a lot of changes during production.
Right.
As far as like the director, like the story even changed. There's like some adjustments to the cast. And I'd say even with all of those changes, like it's still solid. The movie as it is now is like more about being alone, dealing.
About alienation.
Yeah, alienation, isolation, alienation. And I think like previously it was more about finding, you know, your people or like where you belong, your community. This one, I think like when they changed it to like this theme, it was a little bit less about that. And like, yeah, sure. Maybe a little bit more about like the stereotypical Pixar driven loss kind of thing.
Right. Yes. His parents have passed away, so he's living with his aunt.
Yeah. So I think, you know, it makes sense for this though. I think but I think the themes of like community really are pretty strong in this because yeah, it's like an atypical situation, I think. And it's like he doesn't have like a, you know, nuclear family, so to speak. And I think that like most people, Elio is like trying to create his family through like the friends that he meets and like Glorden, who is his alien friend.
My God,
who
he was so cute. What kind of critter did he look like to you, Glorden?
He looked like a what is it? Tardigrade.
Yes, he's like a tardigrade.
Looks like a tardigrade.
And he is so sweet and so cute. But yeah, this movie, I think that it's not only did I enjoy it, but I think this is going to be good for kids' development to see something like this because it's so much about challenges that people face. Because people think, hey, when you're a kid, you don't have any challenges. But when you're a kid, things are terrifying. You're experiencing things for the first time. And to go through the kind of loss he has and to get through that and to find a way through it, I think shows kids that they can overcome all kinds of challenges. And I loved the voice acting and the animation for the little boy. At the beginning, I think it's like in the first scene, you see him, he's hiding under a table while he's out to lunch with his aunt. That just shows you how withdrawn and in his own world he is. And he becomes obsessed with space and this idea of a place where he belongs, a place full of wonder. And it does a great job of sort of balancing this exciting new world that he's going to, while also tying it back to deepening the relationships with people on Earth.
Yeah.
And showing the power of friendship. And I was so moved at this one part where one of the characters says to Elio, you know, you're a very unique young boy, and unique can feel like lonely, but it's not, you know? And that really hit me because, as you know, Sushi, I'm a strange person. I was a strange young person as well. And it's so nice to just reaffirm that message that it's like, even though you can be different, that doesn't mean there isn't a place for you. And it was beautiful. And man, the animation was gorgeous.
Yeah, it was great.
It was absolutely beautiful. I loved the score.
It was a good 3D experience too.
Oh, awesome 3D.
Yeah.
We've been watching a lot of 3D, both in the theater and then also we have a 3D TV. And
probably one of the few left in the world.
It's so fun. But this is one where there are things coming at you, you know,
that's pretty
but
cool.
in a way that's not cheap, in a way that feels really immersive.
Yeah.
So if you have a chance to see it in 3D, we saw an IMAX 3D.
Yeah, this one and How to Train Your Dragon are both pretty good and pretty solid in 3D.
Yeah, really, really wonderful. Highly, highly recommend it.
Cool. All right, let's move on to the look ahead. What are we planning to watch this week as far as movies go?
Well, we have two very different movies that we're planning to see. So the first one I'm really excited about is 28 Years Later, the sequel to the 28 Days whatever verse. I don't know if there's a name to this universe, but I'm really looking forward to it. Great cast. I think we're going to see like a zombie version of our lead from the first movie. So
that's a rumor, right?
That's the rumor.
So it looks like him.
It really looks like one of the zombies. And it's going to be cool to see a community on this island where like they're safe from the zombies, but they can leave that area to see them. So it's just going to be an interesting dynamic, I think.
Yeah, especially since like the last two, I mean, even though it was like 28 days later, followed by 28 weeks later, which I guess like that is not like that far apart,
right?
You know?
I know, right?
Like time wise, 28 years later is considerably longer. So yeah, I am really looking forward to it. Not because I'm a huge fan of like either of the previous movies, but I feel like anytime Hollywood can manage to keep a franchise going after so many years, I'm open to it. You know, like I don't always, you know, I'm not one of those people who immediately thinks everything is a cash grab. So, and especially after seeing the trailer for this one, it has looked really solid. Like all of the renditions of the trailer, all the trailers for this, I feel have been solid. Like each one has only been better than the one before it. I do have a slight fear that we've been shown too much of the main plot, but I really also don't care because I mean, I figure, or I hope that after 28 years since the last movie, like a lot of things have changed.
Right.
And I mean, I really hope we've like discovered more about like how to deal with this problem. But yeah, other than that, I think we were also looking at possibly seeing Bride Hard.
Yeah, the new Rebel Wilson movie.
I don't know if I'm like, I want to see it necessarily because I think it's going to be good, but I think it looks ridiculous.
It looks silly, you know, like.
So I'll see it. I mean, just based on that.
I mean, I like any movie that has hard in it. I'm a big Die Hard fan, so I think that if you, it's just.
I think right? Didn't we saw like the trailer for it. The first time we saw the trailer for it, we were commenting on it, and we immediately were saying like "Die Hard" at a wedding or something like that, and then it just happened to also like it happened to be titled "Bride Hard" at the
so
it
just worked out.
I just thought it was pretty hilarious that we were already seeing the vision before you know, like we saw the actual title of the movie, but I mean, I'm looking forward to. I need to. You know, I like seeing a stupid movie every once in a while. And I don't think 28 years later is going to be real serious. So I definitely need something to balance that out.
Oh my God. We should do them together like a Barbenheimer.
Oh my God.
What would that be? 28 Years Hard?
Yeah.
Or
28 brides later.
Yeah, exactly. So that'll be interesting. Oh, you know who's in it too? I always like in movies like this, you have like fun bit parts for comedy actors, I think.
Yeah.
And Sherry Cola is going to be in it. She was in that amazing movie about the girl from Korea who went back to what the heck is it? Joyride. Yes.
Right.
I absolutely loved her in Joyride. She is so funny. And then it's got Divine Joy Randolph, who is just awesome in everything. So, yeah, you know, I don't think it's going to be obviously the best movie ever, but, you know, why not?
Oh, no, I just thought the trailer looked pretty funny.
Yeah.
There was somebody in that I thought was a is Chad Michael Murray in this one, or is that the other one?
No, he's in the. Oh my gosh, the Freaky Friday.
Oh, right. I keep getting those. We're watching these trailers like in the same.
We see so many trailers, guys.
These two trailers have been like in the same, like before movie trailer packs. Anyway, so yeah, that's that. As far as TV goes, we haven't been watching a ton of stuff. I know Ashley's been. Yeah. She's found a series to watch because we haven't had like an active one that we've been watching. So I think she's been watching Lioness.
Really like it. With Zoe Saldana and Nicole Kidman, and really fascinating. I think it's about like a division of the CIA where they have women lionesses who go undercover in like really high stakes missions, and just awesome acting, really high stakes, hard to predict what's going to happen, I think. And so I've been just like blasted through this show. I'm on the second season now.
Nice.
And I'm really enjoying it.
Aside from that, we've both been watching Fubar slowly.
Fubar!
We're both Arnold fans. I'm a huge Arnold fan.
He loves Arnold. He gets his newsletter, so I get every once in a while he has Arnold words of wisdom.
Yeah, so I knew Fubar was coming. But anyway, we're both on like episode. We just finished episode 3. We're not trying to rush through it. I think, but so far I think it's been pretty good. I think Carrie-Anne Moss's character has been hilarious. I mean, she is like not good at doing the accent.
Well, the accent's very.
But we don't care. I mean, it's like this is an Arnold vehicle. We know that, you know. Like
it has such a funny tone because it's very light and very funny.
What was our thing that we realized with this movie or this series? Well, is it one of those series where they just like pass around the dialogue? Is that what we were saying about it?
Yes, I believe it is.
Yeah, so
this thing, and it cracks me up.
We've come to this conclusion that like I'm pretty sure other people have noticed this, but like there's certain TV series or movies where they're trying to advance the plot. So there's some of them are really good at like passing the dialogue around to each one of the characters just to fill you in on it. I know we saw like some other movie recently that did it too, but that's what it was. Mission Impossible is awesome at doing stuff like that. But Fubar is kind of like that.
It's like they write one paragraph.
Exactly.
And they just are and like, then they just, the first line, you get just the cut line. It up. Yeah, it cracks me up.
So I think it's a solid series. I'm not saying that it's like gonna win like any huge awards for acting. I mean, but it's I think it's just like an across the board entertaining series. It's got action, some like
lots of
spy
comedy.
Thriller stuff to it, lots of comedy. So I think like most people will be able to find something in it that they like. If you're an Arnold fan like me, you'll definitely love it because there's a lot of one-liners.
Yeah. It's funny.
And it's not even just one-liners. They're like callback one-liners. So he does like an I'll be back like callback. That's pretty funny.
Crazy how much happens in it too. Like I remember watching the first episode and being like, this feels like we've been watching like several episodes. They fit so much in.
Yeah.
And you know what I like best about it is just everyone looks like they're having so much fun. They had a blast. That they're going out to dinner after this and chatting. Yeah. Like it just sounds like fun. It's just an enjoyable, easy watch.
No, I definitely feel like they just wanted to give Arnold something fun to do. Because he's getting older. I don't think he wants he himself. I know I've heard him say like he's not doing as much like action stuff. And if you've been kind of following like the movies that he's been doing over the past decade or so, you kind of see that he's kind of delved into like some genres and roles that he probably hasn't taken in the past. Like I kind of got to go back and see that one. I think like it's like kind of like a zombie movie with like
Oh.
Abigail Breslin or something like
Ooh,
that he was in. It was like a
one.
dramatic movie. But,
Oh.
So, yeah, I mean, he's had some really interesting roles, but I think this one was, definitely one where the producers are like, hey, we want to give something fun for Arnold to do. and like, it definitely shows because everybody, like Ashley said, like, everybody looks like they're having a great time. It just feels like a good time when you're watching it, It's like, it's one of those weird series that we love where it's like, the basis of the story is very high stakes, but like it does not feel high stakes at all. Yeah, not from the vibe of it. Like God. It does not feel high stakes whatsoever.
There's this one moment where a character is telling a story about how he basically had to make a Sophie's choice with his children. And he tells that, and like 2 seconds later, the crack jokes again. So it's hard to take the stakes seriously, but it's very fun.
No.
Also, in addition to this, I recommend you watch the interview Arnold had with his son. If you want to hear him talk about weenies, this is an interview for you.
Yeah, so he talked about Patrick Schwarzenegger and
being
White Lotus.
In the White Lotus, yeah. So good time for Arnold content.
But yeah, that's pretty much it for the look ahead. Let us move on to. Oh no! Oh yeah! So wrestling, yeah. So I know, like, some people might be wondering, Ash, do you want to start off how you feel you arrived at the wrestling thing? Yeah, your wrestling journey is a little more interesting.
Okay, so my brother was really into it in the 90s, sort of the height of The Rock and then Stone Cold and all of that. But my mom was so like, why is it so racist?
Oh my God.
Why are the women so sexualized? And you know what? She's right. We watched something recently about the 90s, the Attitude Era.
Oh, yeah.
Wrestling was nuts. And I think that for me, I was turned off from it for a long time because of that. But we started watching. I can't remember why we decided
I think in general, why we started watching it together was like we were running into problems. So and I'll probably talk about this in like future weeks, but I've had this problem, and I'm sure, like a lot of people, the issue is like with all these multiple streaming services, it's so hard to get a lock on like really good series because you're being pulled. I mean, like I feel like there legitimately is like at least one solid series on each platform, but like, why would I want to jump platform? Like it's like one, it's hard to like justify the cost. And then two, you got to give me more than one series. So it's kind of tough to do this. And I feel like we were getting inconsistent reviews from like people we knew or like YouTube channels that we would follow because, they chose to watch one series over another.
Yeah.
So it was hard for us to pick, I think.
And just so many decisions to have to
and I think like, it's easier during the winter because there's a lot of stuff that kind of aligns a little bit better for like our interests because we're really into like sci-fi type series. Mm-hmm. I don't know why it ends up being like that, but they're just really well made. Yeah. And I think like we're really into like the Apple TV series and they tend to have really good sci-fi series. But anyway, but yeah, in the course of like having trouble pinpointing good series that we would really stick with or that we could stick with and not have to worry about cancellations and things like that.
Right.
The constant has been wrestling. It's like,
it is on all the time. Like all the time.
And there's always something going on.
Yeah.
And I know, the quality can deviate dramatically based on a lot of things. But I think overall, it's more just like that there's always like storylines happening.
Yeah. And that's what really drew me in, I think. Well, I love watching the actual wrestling. I'm a big fan of, as you'll hear me talk about, I'm sure a lot, I'm a big fan of and really interested in stunts and fight choreography. And you get to see that here, but it's heightened to such a fun level. And then the interpersonal drama.
Oh my God, it's great.
So I love Drag Race. I love all of that. And I just was like, this is camp for men. Yep. You know, like there is something it makes me giggle. You know, there's like so much silly stuff happening. There's so many wild costumes to see. It's fun to see how involved the audience is. It just feels like, I mean, it's just, for lack of a better term, it's just fun. And it's not offensive like it used to be.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a little more family friendly.
We've got new management at WWE. We don't have to deal with.
I think also the big thing is also like with the real, with like most of the people now, with the internet and everything, and people knowing that this is not real,
right?
There is some comfort in being okay with that.
Sports entertainment.
Yeah, sports entertainment's cool. So, it's whatever. But I think, most of the stuff we're watching is WWE, pretty much Raw.
Yeah.
But we are also trying to catch SmackDown as much as possible. And then obviously we're catching all the PLEs whenever they happen. There's been a lot of them lately.
So many! It's like, it feels like every other week. I think realistically it's once a month.
I mean, I get this is all happening because of Triple H, doing programming, and then like everybody, like Peacock,
right,
facilitating this
stuff.
The
Netflix deal.
Yeah, so I think like they feel obliged to like constantly pump stuff out, which is okay, but I feel like like there's stuff that happens,
I do get a little fatigued occasionally.
Yeah, and I think also in comparison to like before, because I used to watch wrestling in the 90s, I watched like through the Ruthless Aggression era of WWE for
I love
a
the
bit.
Names of these.
Yeah, and so like I feel like I'm getting PLE fatigue sometimes.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot, and like, I don't feel like it's how it used to be, where, a lot of stuff has changed. I feel like there's a lot of storylines that aren't being paid off. There's things that kind of like, fade off into the distance. Like, I just don't think like, I think people are just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks, because there's so much exposure as far as like how much time they get now.
Yeah.
How much content, wrestling content in general, is like around it. I'm not just talking like WWE stuff, but yeah. So I mean, like that stuff is tiring, but I think like overall, it's nice to have, especially with like all these goddamn streaming services. It's nice to have like consistent entertainment that comes out on a schedule.
WWE.
Yeah. So like lately, I think like you pretty much jumped on board like when this whole John Cena retirement started happening.
It's pretty silly. I like it. John Cena turning heel is so funny to me because it's amazing. These guys are so talented that they're able to so quickly turn the audience against them if they want to.
That's amazing.
And they really capitalize. It's kind of meta, because they're capitalizing on what you would think he would have a problem with, being like, I worked so hard and you guys don't appreciate me, and then they bring in real stuff. They make fun of him being, going a little bald. They bring it in. And it cracks me up because even I'm just like, oh my God, John Cena, we get it.
Yeah.
But that is literally his role.
Yeah, and that's what he wants you to do. He wants you to get annoyed. So it's like, I think that's like the most fun part about wrestling once you understand that. It's
That
like
is the
that it's all driving to like get a reaction out of the audience one way or another. And like the audience is there to kind of let them know like, yeah, we're buying it, or like, nah, we're not really buying it.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is by design, but when someone like John Cena goes heel, what that does is it sort of opens up the floodgates for other wrestlers to take on a larger role in opposing him
Yeah,
and be
no,
even
it
more
really
of
does.
a hero to the audience because they're opposing someone they're annoyed with. So I find that very fun.
Yeah, I think in this case it definitely is more to try to elevate Cody Rhodes, because it's like,
yeah.
I don't know if I saw it as much before, but like I definitely see it now, because I saw it. I took a long break from watching wrestling for a while, and then I think during COVID I started watching it again. So I was watching a lot of AEW actually for a while, and I remember when Cody was over there, and so when he came back to WWE, it was like a big deal, and I didn't know if he was gonna, be as successful as he was in AEW, but they definitely have been trying to position him as like the next, top build wrestler like in WWE. So
my one thing though, we haven't discussed this before, but every time I watch wrestling, I'm thinking this guy could be in a movie, this guy couldn't be in a movie, this guy could be. I don't know if Cody Rhodes could break out of it, but he is like, wrestling royalty. He's part of wrestling. These are like
I think
families.
he's made for ring, like promos. I don't think
and he's got that great song.
Yeah, I don't think he's like I couldn't see him doing a full on like acting part. I'll have to check if he's done any of those like WWE films in the past.
Which, by the way, we've watched some recently. Let us know if you want us to talk about that more, because they're very entertaining.
We've watched 2 of the Cena ones because she's never seen any of them. I had her watch 12 Rounds and the Marine, which were pretty interesting. So yeah, if you got any good ones, let us know. Because I haven't watched a ton of them. I just know about like a few of them. But so yeah, like basically we've just been keeping. She's been watching since Cena's retirement got announced, and he's been doing his
Dirty
tour.
Dom drama too.
Yeah,
Dirty Dom is it's just such a wonderful scumbag character. I really hope.
But what are you gonna? I mean, like,
drama soon.
There's definitely gonna be drama, but I don't know what's gonna happen because Liv Morgan got injured for real, so she's gonna be out. They said for months. I think they said like 6 months. So I don't know. What are you thinking as far as like what would you want to happen with that whole thing? Because it's like, it's basically right before she got injured, or like leading up to that. There's been the whole Roxanne Perez like trying to creep into
chicken nuggets.
Trying to creep on Dirty Dom and like trying to get into the Judgment Day, but I don't really know how that's been going. Like I feel like it's been moving very slow.
It has, and ultimately what I want. So we started watching right as he quote unquote cheated with Liv Morgan against our amazing Rhea Ripley. I would love to see him with Rhea Ripley again. Like maybe he ends up with the chicken nugget girl and then
I don't know.
Rhea Ripley comes in. Something like that. But I just love when he's being a scumbag. I love when he's saying he's the best Mexican wrestler and he's making fun
of... He's a good heel.
Yeah, he's a great heel. And he's very committed, and he's very believable as a scumbag.
I almost don't want to see him not be a heel. So
yeah, I don't want to see him not being. I can't fucking imagine.
I feel like what you're, and this is kind of my observation as far as like what's been going on. I feel like it may be something like, because we've seen Damian Priest hanging or like. Mm-hmm. Interacting with Jacob Fatu.
Right.
So like I hope that they team up. Like I know that they have beef because like of the what is it? The United States Championship. I think they're trying to because Fatu has the U.S. Championship and like Damian Priest wants his hands on it. But I think if they could get him past that point, I think they would be a pretty solid like tag team because they're both kind of intense dudes that are into their culture. It's kind of funny. And I think like if they play this right, because there's been this weird, because within like the Judgment Day, there's been this whole like who is it, Finn Balor, and like his him and like the other guys kind of like being more on taking the on their own, and then like I feel like Dom has kind of been separated out and has mostly just been dealing with this Roxanne Perez, Liv Morgan back and forth stuff with like who else, like Raquel Rodriguez kind of like ancillarily like doing stuff in the background. But I don't think like I want to see Dom stay as a heel, but I almost think like they may, if they do end up doing anything, kind of something along the lines of what I mentioned with like Jacob Fatu and Damian Priest, I almost feel like Dom could be like the third person in that, they could have their own stable, I guess.
You know what else would be funny is if he was part of a sort of like an odd couple tag team, sort of like, what was that one that you loved with the sort of surfery type?
I like RK Bro.
Yeah, like RK, something where he's mismatched with someone that could bring out the humor.
I think that would be funny. I could see him doing something because he's good as a heel, and I think like I think he could. He's funny. All right, let's move on. I'm trying to see what else there's. So yeah, it's like in line with the John Cena stuff. R-Truth. Oh man, like being released, but then Ron returning Killings. As Ron Killings. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that match this Friday on SmackDown. Yeah, and then on Friday on SmackDown, we also have the next round of semifinalist matches for King and Queen of the Ring. So it's Randy Orton versus Sami Zayn. I'm kind of I'm open to either guy winning, but I think like Randy. I mean, I
love RKO though.
I kind of want to see Randy win because I think I don't know. I think he's more interesting.
Sort of like he would be a good ambassador. I feel like he's a wrestling ambassador. He's always going in between the teams. Yeah. Randy Orton's like, he's his own thing. Then, he's very fun.
I'm trying to see what else. Alexa Bliss versus Asuka. Oh man, I'm glad to see Asuka back.
She is wild.
So I hope she wins just based off of that. I don't know if I think I'm a little like over Alexa Bliss mostly because like they pushed her so hard. Yeah, like but when I was watching wrestling a lot previously, or like she was the champion, and like I don't know, I got really tired of like the whole Harley Quinn ripoff thing. Right. So like I don't know. I know she's trying to do a different kind of persona now, but I still I'm not too interested in. So just because Asuka I think is more interesting as like a wrestler, and I hope she wins or makes it to the next round. Other than that, as far as like hype is going, like Mr. Iguana. We had a blast watching him on Worlds Collide. And I just hope that WWE is going to use him more than I'm pretty sure he'll go on NXT because I think NXT is just like the natural show for like AAA to kind of.
I feel like he would be a good mime. He's so physical and so good at personifying an iguana. I love the makeup. I love that the makeup is all melted off his face by the end. It's just really incredibly entertaining.
Yeah, no, I hope they use him more. I hope he comes to like the Raw and SmackDown shows. But and then just like to cap this off, I haven't been watching a lot of AEW, but I know Ashley has gotten into like I introduced her
Oh
to
my God.
Timeless Tony Storm.
Guys, I love her so much. I could not. He first told me about how she was calling Dynamite Dinamite.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? Okay. And as a fellow dramatic person, it's just so, and as someone who loves like old movies, I'm just dying at how funny she is. She is so on the nose with her references she's doing, like Sunset Boulevard references, and she's just so funny and so dirty, and I love it. I've been just like mainlining clips of Tony Storm, and so I don't know if I like want to fully invest in watching AEW, but I'm going to be like on TikTok looking up all her promos and loving it.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, that should do it for our podcast this week.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
Yeah.
We're going to try
much.
to consistently get this out on like Thursday or Friday every week. We're mainly just trying to target this kind of like Thursday, Friday, so we can kind of have a guide for you guys to use as far as like trying to figure out what to watch over the upcoming weekend. So, that's kind of like our idea behind what we want to do with this, but we're always open to feedback.
Yeah.
Just make sure, subscribe, like us, review, follow us on all the platforms. We're on TikTok,
all the stuff.
Instagram, Facebook, and obviously YouTube. And
let us know what you're excited about seeing. If there's anything you think we've missed that we should check out.
Yeah, feel free to let us know, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
All right. Bye.
Bye.